Sometime earlier, he had spent a term at this Sydney psychiatric institution, where he was recorded as having exhibited signs of schizophrenia.
For instance, he was keeping spiders in his house, very dangerous spiders, talk with himself.
You mean keeping spiders as pets?
As pets, that's right. And talk at night by himself. I find him unbalanced person.
Did you know his real name was Misimovic?
No.
At this time, the Yugoslav government was not just having to deal with angry demonstrations, but armed confrontation. In 1963, Australian Croatians extended their protest by launching a sabotage mission into Yugoslavia. In 1972, there was another so-called invasion when a larger group, including at least 9 more armed Croatian Australians, crossed the border.
Well, I think they had dreams of grandeur and romantic notions of liberating the homeland. There's always has been, I think, in Balkan politics, a very strong sense of romanticism, and I think that expressed itself in 1972, hopeless though the cause was from the beginning. But from Australia's point of view, of course, it is just not on that citizens can train with arms here secretly, as those people did, and then go and try and invade, if that's the right word, another country.
Beyond the passports, there was another peculiarly Australian stamp on the mission. Within their arsenal were these furry toys they nicknamed collectively Matilda. And within Matilda was 3 kilograms of cyanide, which had been brought from Australia with the alleged intention of poisoning the Belgrade water supply. The village of Rambotsi, almost exclusively Croatian, seemed an ideal starting point for a mass uprising. But what was soon discovered was the flame of revolution, which had burned so brightly in distant Australia, was dampened by the sober reality of life in communist Yugoslavia. The locals had no trouble remembering the day the Australian revolutionaries came to town.
I išli javljati, ba me misli, bit ćemo onako kao 47.
Tuće ga i zatvarat će ga.
Tuće ga i zatvarat će ga. Išle je ljudi i javiti.
Si morao javiti.
Ja, straga bilo pa.
Treba bilo čovjek.
U noć, ali ono je pucalo prije mraka. Puno pucalo. Ko smo rekli? Puno pucalo. I onda je to već malo se utihalo s mrakom onako. Postrahi. Kad sam išla ovdje pri konju sa djecom, kugle su točno oko zvrt. Kugle lete oko uši.
The Yugoslav army arrived in such force it outnumbered the partisans come terrorists by 100 to 1. Most of the Australians were killed in the fighting in the nearby hills. These 2 men were captured, tried and later executed along with a 3rd Croatian Australian. At the trial we've learned a spy who had infiltrated the group back in Australia gave evidence against the men. But the failed 1972 incursion did nothing to arrest the sound of revolution back in Australia.
I don't want you to call yourselves Australian Croatians. I don't want you to call yourselves Croatians. I want to hear of all of you from now on as Croatian liberationists.
In 1978, 19 Croatians were arrested at a training camp at Eden and charged with attempting to launch yet another armed invasion. The proposition that terrorism could be advancing unchecked from under Australian gum trees became a major concern, and the Croatians became a major preoccupation to ASIO and Australia's law enforcement agencies. By now, this man, Vitomir Masimovic, or rather Vico Verkez, as he was known, had moved to the coal-mining town of Lithgow to the west of Sydney. There was nothing particularly distinguished about Verkez or his address, but nevertheless Vico Verkez would do more than any other to extinguish the fire of revolution.
And another officer running around and catch him.
In January 1979, Maxim Bebic moved into the Lithgow house, sharing it with Verkez. Did you know his real name was Masimovic?
Only know before name, before I arrested Vito Virkes. Only name, I meet him like that, Vito, I call him Vito Virkes.
One month later, Verkez forged the first link in an extraordinary chain of events. At 11 o'clock that morning, a telephone call from a Vitomir Masimovic was made to the Yugoslav consulate in Sydney. The call was, we understand, immediately intercepted by Australian agents who were tapping the consulate. The caller was heard passing on information about a plot to blow up 4 separate targets in Sydney. They were the Elizabethan Theatre, where a group of Yugoslav performers were due to appear. As well, there was the Balkan Travel Service, the Brana Travel Service, and this social club. The informer said 3 other persons were involved in the plot. One was a Brajkovic, another an M. Bebic, and the third an A. Zviratic. The Yugoslav consulate contacted the Commonwealth Police, who telexed the information to their head office. At 12:45, Verkez visited the Lithgow police station and once again revealed details of the bomb plot, this time more comprehensively. In following up Verkez's information, police reacted swiftly. By acting as an informant, Verkez hoped to evade arrest, but that wasn't the case. He was taken into custody along with Max Bebic. At the same time, the combined police task force recovered from Verkez's car a cache of explosives large enough, as one policeman put it, to flatten half the block. The explosives were stolen from the Wallerawang power station, where Verkez had worked. But even so, Verkez claimed they were stolen not by himself, but by Bebic and another man.
That's not true. Nobody dared. He took it. I don't know what is the explosives. I know working there. I don't know they have it there. He know they have it there.
Verkez and Bebic were said to have identified the targets to police using a street directory. In addition to the ones already mentioned, it was alleged they also planned to blow up the Avio Tourist Centre and, most unusual of all, the Sydney water supply line. In addition to the 3 men already named, a further 3 alleged conspirators were identified as Ilya Kokatovic, his brother Joseph Kokatovic, and their brother-in-law, Mili Nekic. They were all well known to police as Croatian activists, but the men would deny they were all well known to each other, let alone well known to Verkez.